What's good, y'all? Today is day 5 of reading, so y'all don't have to, and I'm reading Atomic Habits. We gotta go ahead and get our thumbnail, right? Throw a little smile in there. But yeah, I got the thumbnail. But yeah, so last episode we read about cue, craving, and reward, and making it attractive, right? Response, reward, the 4 things. And today we're gonna we got to the first law, which is make it obvious. So yeah, let's get straight into it, man. No bullshitting. Hold on, give me 1 second. Alright, and this chapter is called The Man Who Didn't Look Right. Let's get straight into it. The psychologist Gary Klein once told me a story about a woman who attended a family gathering. She had spent years working as a paramedic, and upon arriving at the event, took one look at her father-in-law and got very concerned. "I don't like the way you look," she said. Her father-in-law, who was feeling perfectly fine, jokingly replied, "Well, I don't like your looks either." "No," she insisted. "You need to go to the hospital now." A few hours later, the man was undergoing life-saving surgery after an examination had revealed that he had a blockage to a major artery and was at immediate risk of a heart attack. Without his daughter-in-law's intuition, he could have died. What did the paramedics see? How did she predict this impending heart attack? When major arteries are obstructed, the body focuses on sending blood to critical organs and away from peripheral locations near the surface of the skin. The result is a change in the pattern of distribution of blood in the face. After many years of working with people with heart failure, the woman had unknowingly developed the ability to recognize this pattern on sight. She couldn't explain what it was that she had noticed in her father-in-law's face, but she knew something was wrong. Similar stories exist in other fields. For example, military analysis can identify which blip on a radar screen is an enemy missile and which one is a plane from their own fleet, even though they are traveling at the same speed, flying at the same altitude, and look identical on the radar in nearly every respect. During the Gulf War, Lieutenant Commander Michael Riley saved an entire battleship when he ordered a missile shot down. Despite the fact that it looked exactly like a battleship's own planes on the radar, he made the right call, but even his superior officers couldn't explain how he did it. Museum curators have been known to discern the difference between the authentic piece of art and an expertly produced counterfeit, even though they can't tell you precisely which details tip them off. Experienced through radiologists can look at the brain scan and predict the area where a stroke will develop before any obvious signs are visible to the untrained eye. I've even heard of hairdressers noticing whether a client is pregnant based on the feel of their hair. The human brain is a prediction machine. It is continuously taking in your surroundings and analyzing the information it comes across. Whenever you experience something repeatedly, like a paramedic seeing the face of a heart attack patient or a military analyst seeing a missile on the radar screen, your brain begins to notice what is important, sorting through the details and highlighting the relevant cues and cataloging the information for future use. My dog is barking. Oh my gosh. With enough practice, you can pick up on the cues that predict certain outcomes without consciously thinking about it. Automatically, your brain encodes the lessons learned through experience. We can't always explain what it is we are learning, but learning is happening all along the way, and your ability to notice the relevant cues in a given situation is the foundation for every habit you have. We underestimate how much our brains and bodies can do without thinking. You do not tell your hair to grow, your heart to pump, your lungs to breathe, or your stomach to digest, and yet your body handles all this and more on autopilot. You are much more than your conscious self. Consider hunger. How do you know when you're hungry? You don't necessarily have to see a cookie on the counter to realize that it is time to eat. Appetite and hunger are governed non-consciously. Your body has a variety of feedback loops that gradually alert you when it's time to eat again, and that track what is going on around you and within you. Cravings can arise thanks to hormones and chemicals circulating through your body. Suddenly, you're hungry even though you're not quite sure what tipped you off. This is one of the most surprising insights about our habits. You don't need to be aware for the cue or for a habit to begin. You can notice an opportunity and take action without dedicating conscious attention to it. This is what makes habits useful. It is also what makes them dangerous. As habits form, your actions come under the direction of your automatic and non-conscious mind. You fall into old patterns before you realize what's happening, unless someone points it out. You may not notice that you cover your mouth with your hand whenever you laugh, that you apologize before asking a question, or that you have a habit of finishing other people's sentences. And the more you repeat these patterns, the less likely you are to come to question what you are doing and why you are doing it. I once heard of a retail clerk who was instructed to cut up an empty gift card after customers had used up the balance on the card. One day, the clerk cashed out a few customers in a row who purchased with gift cards. When the next person walked up, the clerk swiped the customer's actual credit card, picked up the scissors, and then cut it in half, entirely on autopilot, before looking up at the stunned customer and realizing what just happened. Another woman I came across in my research was a former preschool teacher who had switched to a corporate job. Even though she was now working with adults, her old habits would kick in and she kept asking coworkers if they had washed their hands after going to the bathroom. I also found the story of a man who had spent years working as a lifeguard and would occasionally yell, "Walk!" whenever he saw a child running. Bro. Alright, hopefully they're done barking. But over time, the cues that spark our habits become so common that they are essentially invisible. The treats on the kitchen counter, the remote next to the couch, the phone in our pocket. Our response to these cues are so deeply encoded that it may feel like the urge to act comes from nowhere. For this reason, we must begin the process of behavior change with awareness. Before we can effectively build new habits, we need to get a handle on our current ones. This can be more challenging than it sounds because once a habit is firmly rooted in your life, it is mostly non-conscious and automatic. If a habit remains mindless, you can't just expect to improve it. As is the psychologist Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The habit scorecard. The Japanese railway system is regarded as one of the best in the world. If you ever find yourself riding a train in Tokyo, you'll notice that the conductors have a peculiar, I know how to say that, but I know the word, but peculiar. That's not right. Yeah. It has a peculiar habit. As each operator runs the train, they proceed through a ritual of pointing at different objects and calling out commands. When the train approaches a signal, the operator will point and say, "Signal is green." As the train pulls into and out of each station, the operator will point at the speedometer and call out the exact speed. When it is time to leave, the operator will point at the timetable and state the time. Out on the platform, other employees are performing similar actions. Before each train departs, staff members will point along the edge of the platform and declare, "All clear." Every detail is identified and pointed at and named out loud. This process, known as pointing and calling, is a safety system designed to reduce mistakes. It seems silly, but it works incredibly. Pointing and calling reduces errors up to 85% and cuts accidents by 30%. The MTA subway system in New York City adopted a modified version that is point only, and within 2 years of implementation, incidents of incorrectly berthed subways fell 57%. Pointing and calling is so effective because it raises to the level of awareness from a non-conscious habit to more of a conscious level. Because the train operators must use their eyes, hands, mouth, and ears, they are more likely to notice problems before something goes wrong. My wife does something similar. Whenever we are preparing to walk out the door for a trip, she verbally calls out the most essential items in her packing list. I got my keys, I got my wallet, I've got my glasses, I got my husband. The more automatic a behavior becomes, the less likely we are to consciously think about it. And when we've done something 1,000 times before, we begin to overlook things. We assume that the next time will just be like the last. We are so used to doing what we've always done that we won't stop to question whether it's the right thing to do at all. Many of our failures in performance are largely attributable to the lack of self-awareness. Hold on. One of our greatest challenges in changing habits is maintaining awareness that we are actually doing. This helps explain why the consequences of bad habits can sneak up on us. We need a point and call system for our personal lives. That is the origin of habits scorecard, which is a simple exercise you can use to become more aware of your behavior to create your own. Make a list of your daily habits. Here's a sample of what your list might start. Wake up, turn on my alarm, check my phone, go to the bathroom, weigh myself, take a shower, brush my teeth, floss my teeth, put on deodorant, hang up towel to dry, get dressed, and make a cup of tea, and so on. Once you have a full list, look at each behavior and ask yourself, is this a good habit, a bad habit, or a neutral habit? If it's a good habit, write a plus next to it. If it's a bad habit, write a negative to it. If it's a neutral habit, write an equal. For example, the list above might look like this. You can see when y'all can do something like this right here. Y'all can see that, yeah. Add the plus, minus, and the equal sign. The marks give you a particular habit that will depend on your situation and your goals. For someone who is trying to lose weight, eating a bagel with peanut butter every morning might be a bad habit. For someone who is trying to bulk up and add muscle, the same behavior might be a good habit. It all depends on what you're working towards. Scoring your habits can be a bit more complex for another reason as well. The labels good habit and bad habit are slightly inaccurate. There are no good habits or bad habits. They are only effective habits. That is, effective at solving problems. All habits serve you in some way, even the bad ones, which is why you repeat them. For this exercise, categorize your habits by now. They will benefit you in the long run. Generally speaking, good habits will have a net positive outcome. Bad habits have net negative outcomes. Smoking a cigarette may reduce stress right now. That's how it is serving you, but it's not healthy long-term behavior. If you're still having trouble determining how to rate a particular habit, here's a question I like to use. Does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? Does this habit cast a vote for or against my desired identity? Habits that reinforce your desired identity are usually good. Habits that conflict with your desired identity are usually bad. As you create your habit scorecard, there is no need to change anything at first. The goal is to simply notice what is going on. Observe your thoughts and actions without judgment or internal criticism. Don't blame yourself for your faults. Don't praise yourself for your success. If you eat a chocolate bar every morning, acknowledge it, almost as you were watching someone else. Oh, how interesting that they would do such a thing. If you binge eat, simply notice that you are eating more calories than you should. If you waste time online, notice that you are spending your life in a way that you do not want to. The first step to changing bad habits is to be on the lookout for them. If you feel like you need extra help, then you can try pointing and calling in your own life. Say out loud the action that you are thinking and taking and what the outcome will be. If you want to cut back on your junk food habit, but notice yourself grabbing another cookie, say out loud, I'm about to eat this cookie, but I don't need it. Eating it will cause me to gain weight and hurt my health. Hearing your bad habits spoken aloud makes the consequences seem more real. It adds weight to the action rather than letting yourself mindlessly skip into an old routine. This approach is useful even if you're simply trying to remember a task to do on your to-do list. Just saying out loud, tomorrow I need to go to the post office after lunch, increases the odds that you'll actually do it. You're getting yourself to acknowledge that need for an action, and that can make all the difference. The process of behavior change always starts with awareness. Strategies like pointing and calling and the habit scorecard are focused on getting you to recognize your habits and acknowledge the cues that trigger them, which makes it possible to respond in the way that fits you. And yep, we're on to day 5 tomorrow, or not day 5, chapter 5 tomorrow, the best way to start a new habit. But yeah, what I got from that right there is what y'all need to do is know what your bad and good habits are, and what you need to do is eliminate those bad habits and create good ones. And when you create those good ones and replace the bad ones, your life will change tremendously. Like, that's what I've done. I've replaced literally, I think, every single bad habit. Like, I mean, there's still some bad habits in there, like me being on my phone, like things like that, me watching TV, me having too much screen time. But like, the thing is, I'm doing so many good habits that it doesn't matter. And those good habits are adding up for me to become a better person. Like right now it's 12:21. This is my last thing on my to-do list for the day. And now after this, like, I can sit around and chill. Like, I mean, I have something to do at 7 later, but right now I can sit down and chill after I upload all these videos, upload my TikToks. So yeah, when y'all do these things, just build these good habits, and I promise you, they'll take your life to a whole nother level. And do that chart thing. If y'all don't know what your bad habits are and your good habits, write out what you do every day, like on a daily basis, the thing that you know you do every day. So that's like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, blah 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 blah. But yeah, thank y'all for coming out to this video. I just made the other video of law of attraction. Please go check that out if y'all haven't already. But yeah, thank y'all.